Time for Zoey. Time for food experiment. Hi, everybody. We're back. We're back and rolling. I'm trying to figure out lighting today. I'm having a really hard time with the lighting, but that's okay. I have some kind of sad news. Austin was skateboarding and probably tried something he shouldn't have tried, and he hurt his ankle. So Miss Cochran's running around, making sure that there's plenty to eat, taking the ice packs to him, making sure he's keeping his foot elevated above his heart, because those are all the kinds of things you do if you hurt your ankle. Whew. This is a crazy time, and I am doing my best. But I have to tell you that I need to take some moments to do some belly breaths and to close my eyes and relax a little bit. And I plan to do that after I read this chapter. Thank you for listening. You know, if something is bothering you, I think we've learned, or maybe I'm sure your parents have told you too, that you should always talk about something if it's bothering you. And in terms of Austin, that's really bothering me. So I decided that I would share that with you so that I could maybe express it and get it off of my chest. That's what they call it, off of your chest. I'm going to try turning off one set of lights. Stay here. Hold on. Let's see. Does that feel better to me? Not particularly. I don't know what it is with the lighting. But you know what? Hang in there. Do my best. And that's all I can really do. So I think that turning off that light wasn't that great. So I think I'm going to turn that light back on and perhaps turn the front lights off. I don't know. Last chance. Okay. All right. I'm not moving again. Sorry. I just want to feel comfortable while I'm reading, and it's still the wrong light, but it's okay. How are you? Are you good? Have you been thinking about Zoey and the scaly, tired, sad, head down dragon and Sassafras? Remember, we left our story with Zoey was remembering a time when she was with her mother, and there was a tiny snake. And the snake was the last one to be born, and it was really not doing well. And her mom said that was called the runt of the litter. So they fed the snake a worm, and the snake slithered off. So now Zoey is connecting that experience in her life with this dragon, a scaly dragon that's so tired, and it's a baby. And she's thinking, well, maybe this is the runt of the litter. So she is going to... Remember, she patted her thinking goggles, and that was it. Maybe this baby dragon was the runt of his litter. Maybe he was hungry. I'd solved it. All I had to do was get him some... Uh-oh, wait. What do dragons eat? So we're on Zoey and Sassafras, Dragons and Marshmallows, and this is Chapter 8, called The Food Experiment. So here we go. I got to get started because it's a long one. All this thinking about food made me so hungry. My stomach gurgled loudly. Sassafras growled. Silly Sassafras. I ruffled his fur. I'm just hungry for lunch. Let's go back to the house. As I walked, I realized I had a great question for an experiment. I grabbed my brand new science journal and sat down with my sandwich. On the first page of my brand new journal, I wrote, question, what do baby dragons like to eat? So here it is. Here's her journal. Question, what do baby dragons like to eat? Let's see. The baby dragon had scales like that little snake. I bet he was a reptile. If snakes ate worms, maybe dragons did too. Sure, this baby dragon was a lot bigger than the baby snake in the forest, so maybe he'd eat a lot of worms. I knew I should try several different kinds of foods, just in case. I worried it might be hard to get the baby dragon to eat, so I picked some of my favorites. I set my choices on the kitchen table and wrote them all down. It says materials. She has worms. Of course she doesn't like worms, but she has apple slices. Remember, she said she got some of the things she loves to eat. eggs, cheese, marshmallows, cereal, and granola bar. So in her science journal, she has the question and she has materials because remember she's going to do an experiment. And that's what a scientist does. That's part of a science experiment. You start with a question that you want to answer, then you list the materials that you're going to use, and let's see what happens next. Now, to make a guess, I would eat the marshmallows, but that baby snake ate the worm, as if it tasted like a marshmallow. I shrugged. Maybe worms were like the reptile version of marshmallows? I love marshmallows, but I don't love worms. Maybe the dragon would love the worms. Now, I needed to set up my experiment. Every time I'm experimenting, my mom always tells me the exact same thing. Remember to change only one thing and keep everything else in your experiment the same. And by every time, I really mean she says it every time. Okay, I wanted to change the kind of food I was giving him, so I needed to keep everything else the same. I got 7 of the same white plates out of our cabinet. I measured out the same amount of each kind of food. 1 kind of food per plate. I grinned. This experiment would make my mom happy. Hypothesis. Does anybody know what the word hypothesis is? There it is. This is part of a real live experiment. For those of you that have siblings at home, older brothers or sisters, and they worked on a science experiment, they had to include all of these words. Question, materials, hypothesis. And the hypothesis is a guess. I think he will eat worms. That's her guess. Sorry, worms. All right. Oops. So here we go. Materials. She got the materials again. Wait, did I read this? No, she just doubled it. Okay, materials again. Worms, apple slices, eggs, cheese, marshmallows, cereal, granola bar, and 7 white plates, all the same size. And 1 handful of each kind of cereal. She made a note to herself. So, you know, when you're a maker or a scientist and you're doing a project where you're making something or you're making an experiment, you have to keep working and changing it and adding to it. If you don't, then you're not truly a maker or a scientist. You got to keep on trying. Next, I decided what my steps would be. Step 1, set 1 handful of each food on each plate at the same distance from the baby dragon. Step out of the baby dragon's pen and watch him carefully. Write down what he eats. So here's her steps. This is what her plan is. Once again, this is part of her science experiment. Super cool. I love the way she's taking her notes. All set. I gathered my supplies in my arms and tucked my science notebook under my chin. When Sassafras and I got to the barn, I was surprised to see that the dragon was looking around a little bit. Hey, little guy, I said softly. I've got some foods here for you to try. I set each plate of food the same distance away from the dragon. He watched me with big, curious eyes. Once everything was in place, I stepped out of his pen to take notes. The baby dragon got up and carefully licked the food on the first plate. The cereal stuck to his tongue. He scrunched up his face, jumped back, and pawed at his tongue. Whoops! Okay, so the dragon has tried the cereal. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he liked that? I don't think so. Right. That looks like apple slices, though. I made a quick note in my journal. Dragons do not like cereal. Once he wiped off all the cereal pieces, he calmed down. So here's her note. Dragons do not like cereal. As a scientist has to take careful notes. Once he wiped off all the cereal pieces, he calmed down. Then his nostrils, that's this part of your nose, the holes, got really wide. He sniffed and took a few steps, then sniffed some more. He skipped all the other plates and went straight to the marshmallows. His little blue tongue shot out for a lick, and his eyes lit up. He was so excited, he let out a little hiccup. Ooh, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to visualize in my brain. Here's the baby dragon, tongue out. The tongue is blue, and he takes a bite of the marshmallows and gets excited and even has a dragon hiccup. A spark landed on the marshmallow and smoked a bit before going out. The dragon immediately gobbled up the toasted marshmallow. I had to giggle. Roasted marshmallows are the best. I bet he would really like s'mores. I wrote down my conclusions. Conclusion: dragons love marshmallows. All right, so I'm making a connection. When I've been camping before or on just a summer evening, making s'mores is so delicious. I'm picturing that s'more getting cooked either on the fire or the fire pit, or we've even done it at my house in the microwave. And then you take a graham cracker and a chocolate piece, even just Hershey's, yummy, and you put the marshmallow that's mushy and warm and melty and sticky on top of the chocolate piece and put the other graham cracker there. And ooh-wee, s'mores for days. So here we go. As Sassafras and I watched him cough out a spark to toast each of the marshmallows that were left, I made a decision. I looked down at Sassafras. We need to call him something other than little guy. I grinned. Let's call him Marshmallow. Sassafras purred in agreement. A few minutes later, Marshmallow was running and hopping around the pen, flapping his little wings as he jumped into the air. I couldn't stop laughing. Eating a whole plate of marshmallows would make me feel the same way. Sassafras couldn't resist the fun and joined Marshmallow in the pen. The two of them played and played until they fell into a fluffy, scaly heap. Sassafras was panting a bit, so I brought a big bowl of water to the pen. They eagerly drank with their heads side by side. Then Marshmallow settled down in the dirt. He tucked his tail in, rested his head on top, and closed his eyes. Aw, can you picture? I'm picturing Sassafras in my brain. I'm making a visualization. Sassafras, the kitty, and the dragon playing, rolling around, and then drinking the water together side by side. And Sassafras is so excited to have a friend to play with. So super cool. He tucked his tail in, rested his head on top, and closed his eyes. Time for another nap, huh? Marshmallow didn't make a peep. Through the barn windows, I could see that the sky was getting dark. Sassafras, I whispered. It's time for dinner. Let's leave Marshmallow to sleep for the night. We'll see him in the morning. Look, there's the dragon. Aw, look, do you see how his tail is tucked? Oops. He put his head down. So cute. And his wings are still up. As Sassafras and I tiptoed out of the barn, I spotted the camera. Oh, man, I couldn't wake the little guy now. And I wanted his sweet face in the photo. I'd have to take his picture the next morning. When I got back to the house, my dad was at the stove, cooking. I grinned when I saw what he was making. Sassafras-shaped pancakes. Whoa! Cat-shaped pancakes, yummy. A dad's specialty. He makes it look easy, but it isn't. My mom and I have tried to make them, but our pancakes end up looking like weird blobs. Dad looked up and smiled at my thinking goggles, still perched on my head. What you been working on? He asked. I almost told him about Marshmallow, but then I remembered how he couldn't see magical creatures. I figured I'd better leave out the details about the baby dragon. Oh, I said, just some science experiments with Sassafras out in the barn. Dad flipped another pancake. That's great, honey. I'm so glad you two have been able to keep yourselves busy with your mom gone. Oh, we were keeping ourselves busy, all right. Hey, if my dad only knew. I could hardly wait for morning to come. First, I'd get my magical photo of that sweet little face. Then I'd spend the whole day playing with a baby dragon. Whoa, that was an amazing chapter. Woohoo! We have read, that was chapter 8. Are you kidding me? We just fly through these books. That was an amazing chapter. So we have met another character. Let's try to think of the characters we know so far. We have Zoey. We have Zoey's mom. We have Sassafras. We now have a baby dragon that has a name, which is Marshmallow. Yes. And then we have her dad. So how many, I should have done this. How many characters do we have so far? Well, we have 5 characters so far. And the problem in this story was that Zoey had to, in this chapter, was that Zoey had to figure out how to cure the dragon. And do you remember how she cured the dragon? What she did? Super job. Yes, she performed a food experiment. She put out different foods on plates, and she made it a very controlled experiment. That meant she gave about the same amount of each food to decide what the dragon would eat. And lo and behold, what did the dragon decide to eat? Marshmallows. Now I'm starting to understand the title of the story. Zoey and Sassafras, Dragons and Marshmallows. So now the dragon has gone to sleep. Zoey and Sassafras have moved back into the house to go eat, and the dragon is sleeping. And there was one problem, one thing Zoey forgot to do. Do you remember what it was? Oh, good job. She forgot to take the dragon's photo, but she didn't want to wake the dragon up because after eating and playing with Sassafras, the dragon tucked his tail in and went to sleep. So that was a great chapter. Oh my gosh, now I'm so sad because look, we've read this much and we only have this much to go. We're flying through these books. It's so super duper fun. We're going to get to read some more books, which makes my heart so happy because this is my favorite part of the day. All right. So what we need to do now is virtual hug. Don't know if I can let you go today. I feel like a dragon all tucked up. Kind of like the dragon. I'm sleeping. Sadly, I don't get to go to sleep right now. Okay. I want you to give a virtual hug to Austin because he's got a bad ankle and he's got his foot up and it's not fun. But we're going to try to take care of it and see what happens and see where that goes. All right. I want to do our positive affirmation and then I'm going to send you on your way. Okay? So remember, I am smart. I am kind. I am honest. I am silly. I am brave. And I am loved. Yes, you are. Love you more today than I did yesterday, which is not even possible, I didn't think, but I feel it in my heart. And I want to tell you again, I want to thank you again for letting me share with you what's going on in my life. Sometimes when we have things going on, like I said before, some of us, not everybody, some of us need to express it, get it out, and it makes you feel a little better. And if you're not one of those people that likes to talk about it, that's okay too. Everybody has a different way of dealing with things. But Miss Cochran needs to talk about it. I'll probably talk about it again the next chapter. But I want you to keep good thoughts and send kind wishes and healing wishes for my friend Austin. Until we read again. Bye, my friends.